Welcome to the channel. You're in for a treat today because we've got some incredibly rare US Lincoln pennies to talk about. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Watch till the end to uncover some truly fascinating details. But before we dive into the world of these rare coins, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on more awesome content like this. Now, let's get started. In the world of numismatics, it's often the most ordinary-looking coins that end up hiding the most extraordinary stories. Such is the case with the 1988 1-cent penny, which, to the casual observer, might seem like just another penny that you'd find in your pocket or stuck at the bottom of your change jar. But, as with most things in life, there's more to this seemingly mundane coin than meets the eye. If you're someone who's ever had the curiosity to dig a little deeper into the world of rare coins, you'll know that the 1988 penny is far from being just any other coin. To truly understand the significance of the 1988 penny, we need to take a step back and look at the broader context of the penny's history in the United States. The penny, also known as the 1-cent coin, has been part of American currency since 1793, when the U.S. Mint first introduced it as part of its efforts to create a national currency system. Over the years, the penny has gone through a variety of changes in terms of design, size, and composition. From the early days of the Liberty Cap design to the wheat ears design in the early 20th century, the penny has had an evolution that mirrors the changes in American society and its economy. Fast forward to the mid-20th century, and by 1988, the penny had become something of a mainstay in the pockets of Americans. It was, and still is, the lowest denomination coin in circulation in the U.S. currency system, and its familiar copper-brown color made it easy to identify. By then, the penny was already more than 100 years old, and it had become deeply ingrained in American culture. However, there were underlying issues that were starting to cause concerns about the penny's continued production. During the 1980s, the price of copper was on the rise. The increasing cost of producing copper, which was the primary material used in the penny, meant that it was becoming more expensive to mint each penny. Many people began to question whether it was worth continuing to produce the penny at all, given that its face value was just 1 cent. The cost of minting the penny often exceeded its value, which led to debates about whether the penny should be phased out altogether. Despite these concerns, the penny continued to be minted, and in 1988, it was business as usual for the U.S. Mint, with millions of pennies being struck in Philadelphia and Denver. Now, let's dive into the design of the 1988 penny. By the time the penny hit circulation in 1988, it was already a coin with a long legacy. The design on the obverse side of the penny, featuring President Abraham Lincoln, was first introduced in 1909, and it had remained the standard for decades. The design was based on a famous portrait of Lincoln created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. In this design, Lincoln is depicted in a simple yet dignified profile, and it quickly became a recognizable symbol of the nation's most beloved president. On the reverse side of the 1988 penny, the design featured the Lincoln Memorial, which was first introduced in 1959. The memorial, located in Washington, D.C., serves as a tribute to Lincoln's leadership and legacy, and it was a fitting addition to the penny, which had become a staple of American currency. The reverse of the coin is often recognized for its simplicity, with the words E pluribus unum, out of many one, inscribed above the memorial, serving as a reminder of the unity that Lincoln championed during his presidency. The 1988 penny, like most pennies of the time, was minted using a copper alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition gave the coin its reddish-brown appearance, which is one of the most distinctive features of the penny. Over the years, the penny had been minted with various compositions, but the 1988 penny followed the typical formula that was standard for most coins of that era. While the design and composition of the penny might seem straightforward, there was something special brewing behind the scenes that would eventually make the 1988 penny stand out as a significant piece of American numismatic history. The key to the 1988 penny's allure for collectors lies in a rare error that occurred during the minting process. While most of the 1988 pennies produced by the U.S. Mint were perfectly struck, a small number of them were struck with an error known as the double die error. This error happens when a coin is struck by a die that has been misaligned, causing the design to be impressed onto the coin more than once. This results in a doubling effect, where certain letters and numbers appear blurred or duplicated. For the 1988 penny, the double die error is most evident in the word Liberty and the date 1988, where the letters and numbers appear slightly doubled. It's not always easy to spot this error unless you're looking closely, but for numismatists, this subtle flaw is a treasure. To the untrained eye, it might just look like a regular penny, but to a collector, it's a rare piece of history that could fetch a small fortune. The 1988 double die penny quickly became a sought-after item for coin collectors. As word spread about the error, collectors began to scour through their change jars and penny rolls in search of this rare coin. With the help of various online forums and numismatic communities, collectors were able to exchange information and learn how to identify the double die error. The rarity of the coin, combined with the fact that not many of them were discovered at first, made it even more valuable to us. So why does this penny matter? In the grand scheme of things, it's just one of many pennies minted over the years, right? Well, not exactly. The 1988 double die penny is special because of its rarity. Even though the U.S. Mint produced millions of pennies in 1988, only a few examples of the double die penny have been discovered. This has made the coin incredibly rare, and with rarity comes value. A double die penny in excellent condition can command a price of $105,000 or more at auction, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever to be sold. But the story doesn't end there. The value of the 1988 double die penny continues to rise, and as more time passes, it's likely that fewer and fewer of these rare coins will be available for collectors. The demand for rare and valuable coins like the 1988 double die penny is only growing, as collectors seek to add these pieces of history to their collections. The 1988 penny serves as a reminder that sometimes it's the small details, like a slight doubling in the design, that can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. In the world of coin collecting, it's not always about the face value of the coin. Sometimes it's about the rarity, the historical significance, and the unique story behind a particular coin. The 1988 double die penny is a perfect example of this. It's a coin that, at first glance, might seem like nothing special. But for those who understand the nuances of numismatics, it represents a rare and valuable piece of American history. A coin that can command a price of $105,000 or more in today's market. For coin collectors, the hunt for rare coins like the 1988 double die penny is what makes the hobby so exciting. You never know what you might find in your pocket, and you never know when a simple coin might turn out to be worth more than you ever imagined. So, the next time you find a penny, take a moment to examine it closely. You might just be holding on to a small piece of history that's worth a whole lot more than you think. When we think about coins, most people might picture them as little more than pocket change, something to be tossed into a jar or spent on a cup of coffee. But for those with a deeper appreciation for numismatics, even the most seemingly ordinary coins have fascinating stories to tell. Take the 1991-cent penny, for example. To the average person, it might just seem like another coin, indistinguishable from the thousands of pennies that are minted each year. But this particular penny, with its subtle yet significant history, has become a standout in the world of coin collecting. It's one of those examples of how something small and unassuming can end up with a story and value that stretches far beyond its face value. The story of the 1990 penny begins with the history of the 1-cent coin itself. The penny has been a part of American currency since 1793, when the U.S. Mint first began producing it as part of a national currency system. Over the years, the design, size, and composition of the penny have gone through numerous changes. Originally made entirely of copper, the penny evolved as times changed, reflecting the economic and material needs of each era. By 1982, the U.S. Mint made a critical decision to alter the composition of the penny. Rising copper prices and the escalating cost of producing the coin made it clear that a cheaper alloy would be necessary. So, the mint switched to a copper-plated zinc composition, which became the standard for the penny, including the 1990 issue. By then, the penny was no longer the heavy copper coin of the past but a lighter, more affordable version, with a distinct reddish-brown hue that we recognize today. The design of the penny in 1990 was one of the most well-known and longest-lasting designs in American coinage history. On the obverse side, the penny features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design, created by the sculptor Victor David Brenner, had been in circulation since 1909, marking the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The portrait of Lincoln, facing left with a somber expression, quickly became an iconic image in American coinage, symbolizing the ideals of freedom and unity that Lincoln stood for. In 1990, this design remained unchanged, still representing the nation's deep reverence for Lincoln's legacy. On the reverse side of the 1990 penny, we see the Lincoln Memorial, another familiar site that had been a feature of the coin since 1959. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial symbolizes the enduring strength of the United States, paying tribute to Lincoln's leadership during the Civil War. The reverse of the penny was familiar to nearly everyone who had ever used a penny, featuring the words E pluribus unum above the memorial, a reminder of the nation's unity. In terms of the penny's composition, the 1990 coin followed the standard alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc that had been used for several years. This gave the coin its signature reddish-brown color, making it easily recognizable. By this point in history, the penny was a fixture in the daily lives of Americans, its copper hue familiar and reassuring. A piece of currency that had been in circulation for well over a century, however. Despite the penny's widespread presence and seemingly ordinary nature, the 1990 issue would become the subject of intense interest and focus among collectors for reasons that weren't immediately apparent to the general public. One of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting is the fact that sometimes it's not the coin's design or composition that makes it valuable, but rather a flaw, an error, that occurs during the minting process. The U.S. Mint is known for its strict standards and precision when it comes to coin production, but the complexity of the minting process leaves room for occasional mistakes. And it's these mistakes, these rare, almost imperceptible flaws, that can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a valuable collector's item. For the 1990 penny, the error that collectors would come to covet was a subtle misalignment in the die used to strike the coin. This error, known as the close AM variety, refers to a misalignment in the spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse side of the coin. On most 1990 pennies, the letters A and M are spaced relatively far apart. However, for a rare subset of the pennies minted in that year, the spacing between these two letters is much closer together than it should be. The close AM variety was an unintended consequence of a misaligned die, but for numismatists and collectors, this small error made the coin highly desirable. It was a seemingly insignificant mistake, yet it turned a standard penny into a rare and valuable piece of history. To the untrained eye, the difference might not be noticeable. In fact, if you weren't specifically looking for it, you might easily pass over a 1990 penny with this error. But for those with a keen eye for detail, this small flaw was like a treasure waiting to be discovered. As word of the close AM error spread among collectors, it sparked a rush to search through rolls of pennies in the hopes of finding one of these rare examples. And over time, the value of these error coins began to skyrocket. The rarity of the 1990 close AM penny is what drives its incredible value today. While millions of pennies were struck in 1990, only a small number of them featured this error. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is one of the key factors that determines a coin's value, And as more and more collectors sought out these rare coins, the price began to rise. A 1990 penny with the close AM error can be worth tens of thousands of dollars, depending on its condition. Some of these pennies have even sold for over $100,000 at auction. The value of the 1990 penny is a testament to the enduring fascination with U.S. coins and the sometimes surprising fortunes that can be found in the most unlikely of places. Collectors are drawn to the 1990 penny not only because of its rarity but also because of the historical context it represents. The late 1980s and early 1990s were a time of change in the United States. The country was transitioning into a new political era with the election of George H.W. Bush as president. The economy was adjusting after the challenges of the 1980s, and debates were already brewing about the future of the penny itself. Some lawmakers even pushed for the discontinuation of the penny, arguing that it was no longer necessary in an increasingly digital world. The 1990 penny, then, represents not just a moment in the history of U.S. coinage, but also a moment in the country's ongoing discussion about its currency system and its economic future. As we look back at the 1990 penny, especially the close AM variety, it becomes clear that even the most unassuming coins can carry significant value and historical importance. What may have once seemed like just another ordinary penny now represents a unique opportunity for collectors to own a rare and valuable piece of American history. The 1990 close AM penny, with its understated error and subtle design flaw, has become one of the most sought-after coins in the world of numismatics. Today, when you look at a 1990 penny, remember that it's not just a coin worth 1 cent. It could be a coin worth far, far more. For those who are lucky enough to own one of these error pennies, it's a reminder that sometimes even the smallest imperfections can lead to the greatest rewards. The 1990 close AM penny serves as a reminder that in the world of coin collecting, there's always more to discover. More treasures waiting to be found, hidden in plain sight. And while most pennies may never make their way into the world of high-priced collectibles, the 1990 penny stands as a shining example of how even the most seemingly insignificant coins can hold the key to a much larger story. Coins are often viewed as simple objects, designed for practical purposes like purchasing goods or serving as change. For many, a penny is just a penny, a small, insignificant token of currency that can easily be overlooked in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. But for collectors and numismatists, even the most mundane coin can hold a fascinating story. The 1992 USA 1-cent penny is one such coin that has, over time, captured the attention of those who appreciate the nuances and beauty of U.S. coinage. While it might seem like an ordinary coin to most, its history, design, and, in some cases, its rarity have made it a remarkable piece in the world of coin collecting. The history of the U.S. penny dates back to 1793, when the first 1-cent coin was struck by the U.S. Mint. Over the years, the penny has undergone many changes in both design and composition. Its evolution reflects not only the advancements in coin-making technology, but also shifts in the political, social, and economic landscape of the United States. The penny has seen a variety of designs, materials, and weights, but it has always remained one of the most iconic and widely circulated coins in the country. By 1992, the penny had long been a staple in the U.S. monetary system, but it had also entered into a period of reflection. At the time, many were debating the practicality of continuing to produce pennies, given their low value and the rising costs of production. Yet, despite these ongoing discussions, the penny continued to be struck, and the 1992 penny stands as one of the most interesting issues in its long history. In 1992, the penny was still produced with the familiar copper-plated zinc composition that had been introduced in 1982, replacing the solid copper alloy used in earlier pennies. This change was made in response to the rising cost of copper, which made it too expensive to continue using for penny production. The new zinc-copper alloy was more affordable and practical, allowing the mint to continue producing pennies without significant losses. This composition resulted in the penny's signature reddish-brown color, one that most people associate with the coin to this day. The 1992 penny, like most pennies produced during this time, was light in weight and had a shiny, copper-plated surface. While the composition of the penny may have changed over the years, its design remained rooted in the familiar imagery of Abraham Lincoln. Since 1909, Lincoln's profile had been featured on the obverse side of the penny, making it one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Designed by the sculptor Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's portrait is centered on the obverse, with his likeness facing left, his face solemn, and his gaze turned slightly upward. This powerful design had stood the test of time, remaining unchanged for over 80 years by the time the 1992 penny was minted. On the reverse of the 1992 penny, we still saw the familiar Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial depicted the iconic structure that honors the 16th President of the United States, situated on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The memorial has since become synonymous with Lincoln's legacy, symbolizing the enduring strength and unity of the nation that he fought to preserve. This design, created by Frank Gasparo, was a fitting tribute to Lincoln and remained a staple on the reverse of the penny until 2009, when it was replaced by a series of designs celebrating Lincoln's life and achievements. Despite the seemingly standard nature of the 1992 penny, there are certain elements that have made it particularly interesting to collectors. One of the key reasons that collectors focus on this particular penny is the potential for error varieties that were minted in small numbers. Error coins, by their very nature, are rarer and often more valuable than their regular counterparts. These errors can range from slight misalignments to more obvious mistakes in the coin's design. As with many coins in U.S. history, the 1992 penny was not immune to minting flaws, and one of the most notable error varieties from that year is the double die variety. The double die error occurs when a coin is struck multiple times during the minting process, causing the design to appear blurred or doubled. This error can occur due to a variety of factors, including misalignment of the dies or an issue with the die itself. In the case of the 1992 penny, there were a few instances where the Liberty inscription and the date on the obverse appeared to be doubled. The double design can be subtle, but for those with an experienced eye, it's immediately noticeable. Collectors who are fortunate enough to come across one of these double die varieties often see their value increase significantly, as these types of errors are considered rare and desirable. The value of a 1992 penny with a double die error can be as much as $1,000 or more, depending on the severity of the error and the overall condition of the coin. In addition to the double die error, another noteworthy variety that has emerged from the 1992 penny is the close AM variety. This error, while not as common as the double die, has been sought after by collectors for years. The close AM variety refers to a misalignment in the lettering on the reverse side of the coin. Typically, the letters A and M in the word America are spaced apart by a small amount. However, on a limited number of 1992 pennies, the letters A and M are struck closer together than they should be. This small detail, though subtle, makes the coin unique and highly valuable to collectors who are able to identify it. The close AM variety is particularly interesting because it highlights how even the smallest differences in a coin's design can dramatically impact its value. While the close AM variety is not as rare as some other error coins, it has still captured the attention of collectors and has proven to be an exciting find for those lucky enough to come across one. So why, exactly, is the 1992 penny so sought after by collectors? It's a combination of factors that make this particular coin valuable. The errors, like the double die and close AM varieties, have created a demand among collectors, and the rarity of these errors has driven up the price. As with many coins, rarity is a key factor in determining value. And while the 1992 penny may have seemed like just another coin in circulation, the combination of its historical significance, the potential for errors, and its place in the larger narrative of U.S. currency has made it an important part of the coin-collecting world. But what about the regular, non-error 1992 pennies? While these coins may not fetch the same high prices as their error counterparts, they still hold some degree of value for collectors. Some collectors are simply interested in collecting every penny from each year, regardless of whether there are any errors present. The 1992 penny, as part of the ongoing series of Lincoln cents, is an important part of the collection. While the value of a regular 1992 penny might only be a few cents, it still has historical significance and can be a valuable addition to a complete penny collection. Now, you might be wondering what the current value of the 1992 penny is, especially given the rarity of the error varieties. While the vast majority of 1992 pennies are worth only their face value of 1 cent, the error varieties have skyrocketed in value in recent years. The double-die 1992 penny, for example, has sold for as much as $1,000 at auction, with higher quality examples fetching even more. The close AM variety can also command significant sums, with some examples selling for several $1,000s, depending on their condition. In fact, some of the more extreme examples of the error varieties have been known to fetch upwards of $10,000 at auction. As the years go by, the value of these coins continues to increase, especially as fewer of the error varieties remain in circulation. In the case of the rarest 1992 pennies, those with both a high-quality strike and significant errors, prices have been known to reach as much as $97,000 in some cases. This remarkable value is driven by the rarity of the coins, the demand from collectors, and the growing interest in U.S. coinage. For numismatists, these coins represent not only a great investment but also a fascinating piece of American history. The story of the 1992 penny is a perfect example of how seemingly ordinary objects can have extraordinary value. The penny, a coin that most of us barely notice as it passes through our hands every day, holds within it a rich history, a wealth of detail, and the potential for discovery. Whether it's the minor design errors that make the 1992 penny stand out or its place in the ongoing story of U.S. currency, this coin continues to captivate collectors and serves as a reminder that sometimes the most unassuming objects are the ones with the most interesting stories to tell. In the world of coins, few hold as much significance and history as the humble penny. To most people, a penny is something that goes unnoticed, often dropped into change jars or left in forgotten corners of their homes. But for collectors and numismatists, the story behind every coin can be a treasure trove of insight into history, culture, and even the artistry behind its design. Today, let's dive into the fascinating world of the 1996 U.S. 1-cent penny, a coin that may seem simple, but holds a deeper narrative than meets the eye. The penny has long been an emblem of American currency, but its evolution is more complex than it first appears. Since its inception in 1793, the 1-cent coin has undergone numerous transformations, adapting to the changes in the nation and its economy. By 1996, the penny was a product of decades of modifications, and while its design had become relatively stable, it was far from being a static piece of U.S. history. The story of the 1996 penny begins with the decision made in the late 19th century to feature President Abraham Lincoln's likeness on the coin. This was a deliberate and fitting tribute, marking a significant moment in American history, the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The design was created by Victor David Brenner, whose work would become iconic in the world of numismatics. Brenner's portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, or front, of the penny was intended to honor the president's legacy, his role in the Union's preservation, and his fight for the abolition of slavery. The 1996 penny carries forward this proud tradition. On the obverse, Lincoln's face is set in profile, his features sharp and dignified. The portrait has been the same for more than 80 years, having become an ingrained part of American identity. Lincoln's image remains a visual touchstone, conjuring up memories of a pivotal time in U.S. history. While there may have been no major design changes to the coin's front in 1996, the reverse side was a different story. The reverse of the penny in 1996 still featured the Lincoln Memorial, which had been in place since 1959. This design by Frank Gasparo was itself a tribute to Lincoln's enduring influence. The memorial, located on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., is a powerful symbol of American unity and resilience. The reverse depicted the structure's impressive columns, with the words E pluribus unum, out of many, one, engraved, embodying the ideal that, despite differences, the United States stands as a unified nation. The 1996 penny was made from a copper-plated zinc alloy, a change that had been introduced in 1982 due to the rising cost of copper. This shift allowed for the continued minting of pennies without incurring heavy losses due to expensive materials. Copper was too costly for small coins like the penny, so the mint began using a combination of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. The resulting penny retains the familiar reddish-brown color that many of us associate with the coin, but it also marks a departure from the more traditional all-copper pennies minted before the 1980s. Minting for the 1996 penny took place at multiple U.S. mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each location added its own mint mark to the coins, with coins from Philadelphia bearing no mint mark, those from Denver marked with a D, and those from San Francisco featuring the S mint mark. These markings help collectors determine the coin's origin, adding another layer of detail for those who appreciate the intricacies of coin collecting. Now, at first glance, the 1996 penny may seem just like any other coin. But as is often the case in the world of numismatics, things are not always what they seem. Collectors, especially those keen on error coins, have long been drawn to certain unusual varieties of the 1996 penny. It's here that we uncover the hidden gems, the errors that make the coin more valuable than you might expect. After all, it's these small, often subtle mistakes in the minting process that lead to discoveries worth thousands of dollars. One of the most notable errors to emerge from the 1996 penny production is the double die variety. This occurs when the coin is struck by the die multiple times, leading to a blurred or doubled image. In the case of the 1996 penny, this error is most visible on the date and the word Liberty on the obverse. While the error is not always obvious at first glance, collectors with a sharp eye know that even a slight doubling of the date or lettering can make a penny from 1996 stand out from the rest. The double die error is not the only anomaly to be found in the 1996 penny. There's also the highly sought-after close AM variety, which refers to a subtle mistake found on the reverse of the coin. Normally, the letters A and M in America are spaced apart at a certain distance. But in some cases, the minting process caused these two letters to be struck much closer together than intended. This small detail may be easy to overlook, but for those who know what they're looking for, the close AM variety is a highly prized find. Why do these errors matter so much? To the casual observer, a coin with such a minor flaw may not seem significant. But in the world of coin collecting, these errors can turn an ordinary penny into a prized piece of history. Error coins are rarities. They deviate from the intended design and are produced in limited numbers. As a result, they are highly collectible and often fetch higher prices at auction. The hunt for error coins, like the double die and close AM varieties of the 1996 penny, has driven up demand and value, creating a thriving market for these unique pieces of U.S. currency. So, let's talk numbers. What makes the 1996 penny truly worth something? Well, most of the 1996 pennies produced are worth exactly 1 cent, as you'd expect. But for those who find the error varieties, like the double die or the close AM, things start to change. A 1996 penny with the double die error can be worth anywhere from several $100s to a few $1,000s, depending on its condition and the clarity of the error. But the real surprise comes with the rarest varieties. Some of the most pristine, well-struck 1996 pennies with significant errors have been known to sell for staggering amounts. For example, in recent years, certain specimens of the double die and close AM varieties have sold at auction for upwards of $91,000. That's right, an unassuming penny, once circulating in the hands of everyday Americans, can now command a price that would make any coin collector or investor take notice. The high prices these error pennies fetch are driven by their rarity, the growing interest in numismatics, and the fact that fewer of these coins are found with each passing year. But how does a coin from 1996, still less than 3 decades old, manage to reach such impressive prices? The answer lies in the combination of scarcity, the passage of time, and the demand for error coins. As more collectors pour into the market, and fewer of the error varieties remain in circulation, the value continues to climb. The 1996 penny's journey from mere pocket change to a highly sought-after piece of numismatic history is a testament to the enduring appeal of U.S. currency and the thrill of collecting. For anyone who might dismiss the penny as a small and insignificant coin, the story of the 1996 penny offers a valuable lesson. Never underestimate what might be hiding in plain sight. While most of us will never come across a penny worth tens of thousands of dollars, the story of the 1996 penny highlights the allure of coin collecting. It's a world where the smallest details, whether a minting error or a rare variety, can lead to incredible finds. So, next time you encounter a 1996 penny, don't be so quick to let it slip by. You never know, it might just be a small piece of history, ready to reveal its true value. Sure, here's how you can wrap up the script with a call to action. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of the 1996 penny, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and leave a comment below. Let us know what you think about the 1996 penny and if you've ever come across a rare find like this. Your support means a lot, and it helps us keep bringing you amazing content about coins, history, and everything numismatic. Be sure to tell your friends so they can learn about the hidden treasures in their pockets too. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.